Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming to our State of the School address tonight. We are happy to share updates from this past year, as well as items that will be coming in for our 2023-2024 academic year and beyond. We would like to begin with a prayer tonight, so I'd ask everybody to please quiet their minds and their hearts. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, at the end of this school year, we give thanks to God for all the teaching and learning that has taken place in our school, both in and out of the classroom, for the talents and gifts that have been shared, and the challenges that have been faced, for the burdens that have been lifted and hurts that have been healed, for the respect and care that has been given. We give thanks for the friendships that have just begun and for those that have grown, for the faith that has been lived in our daily struggles, for the hope that has lifted our hearts on the dark days, and for the love that has kept us going. We give thanks for the community that we are, and we ask you, Lord, bless our students. May your Spirit inspire them with confidence and calmness. Bless our families. As we take holidays, may our time together leave us with memories to cherish. Pour out your love on us, that we may return renewed and refreshed to continue our journey together. We make this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen. Mother Maria, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you.
Hello all. For those I have not yet met, not too many of you anymore, but my name is Sheen Frawley, and I am the new-ish president of our dear villa, and I'm thrilled that you're here tonight. Thank you so much. We did update our mission statement this year, and obviously the mission is what guides everything we do. Every day, it's who we are. And we commit to our families that we will empower their young women through faith, education, and service, obviously being a Catholic college preparatory high school. Our vision on how we do that is to create an academically challenging environment with a nurturing community. Most of you have students here already, so you know what that looks like, and you know that that's true. The most important work our students do here is that they discern who they are and who God calls them to be. All of our faculty and staff work every day to make sure that that work happens and that our students are empowered to do that when they leave these hallowed halls. We're inspired by the words of Mother Maria Coppice, working in the spirit of always more, always better, and always with love. Obviously, I'm here tonight, just introduce myself. You've all met Lauren Carr, needs no introduction. And we'll also be hearing from our Director of Advancement, Matt Grunwell. Matt joined us this year, just a couple of months ago. We're very happy to have him. And he is a three-time Villa parent, 25 years at Bloomberg, so he brings great insight to us as we look to really advance our dear Villa. Literally, Director of Advancement, convenient. So it's been a gift to have him on staff, and you'll hear from him in a bit. Now I'll hand it back over to Lauren to speak to some of the things that are happening on that academic side of the house.
So with our mission and our vision statement, one of the areas that we really pride ourselves on is our connection to our Sisters of St. Casimir. For those who have had the opportunity to meet with our sisters, Sister Immaculate, Sister Elizabeth Ann, and Sister Margaret are the three that regularly visit us. And by regularly, typically it's once a quarter. And they make connections with our students. They make sure that when they're on campus, they're spending time in the lunchroom during the lunch periods. They'll have breakfast and lunches with various students, whether they're scholarship recipients or certain groups that they ask us specifically to be able to meet and dialogue with. They cherish Villa as we are basically their final egg sitting out there of what their prior dozen looked like. But our Director of Mission Ministry, Stephanie McCarthy, she has kept that connection alive with our campus ministry program. Our campus ministry program has done numerous service sites this year. We have been able to expand on our half-day schedules. For those who are familiar with prior years, half-days traditionally were shortened class periods and the occasional fun activity, whether it be a spirit day or an Easter egg hunt with scooter races down the hallway. This year, we revamped those half-day schedules and made them more of a team bonding component, but we incorporated the service piece. So in September, the students gathered by advisories. They were able to create sandwiches that were donated that same weekend. We also had our very first full school-wide day of service. So in years past, we would have our family day of service on a weekend, which has always been wonderful, but I have to tell you, the school-wide day of service, the energy was palpable. The various grades were able to go off-site, so our juniors and seniors went to a variety of service sites, everything from community gardens to nursing home centers. Some of them went to cradles to crayons. And then our underclassmen stayed more local as well as on-site. So for those that are familiar with how large our campus is, everything from the convent end of the building to our lower levels, they assisted with the organization and, for lack of a better phrase, clean out of those areas. At the end of the day, we reconvened in here as a school, and we allowed the students the opportunity to share what the day meant to them, and it was touching. It was truly amazing to hear the impact it had. So we took that moving forward for next year, and we have our day of service again on a Friday. We're having a full circle with it though, where we will have our Casimir Mass that Monday so that we can have a follow-up and a reflection throughout the weekend with them. So that we were very thrilled was a huge success. We also had Mission and Ministry be a big part of our Hope-a-thon chairs this year. So many of the members of Hope-a-thon were also in our campus ministry programs. We had a variety of masses throughout the year, from the traditional ones that we would have in First Friday to our first evening Ring Day Mass, which was beautiful, and we are continuing that tradition. We also had, just this past weekend, the Archbishop. He was the priest that celebrated our graduation, and he does one graduation for high schools per year, and I'm happy to say that we were it. And I will give the shout out today to the Kraft family because they made the connection for us. And he was phenomenal. So we did already request him for next year. Fingers crossed, send those prayers up to Mother Maria. I would love for that to be it again. And we continue to make those connections to our local communities. So our campus ministry program is truly thriving here. From a curriculum standpoint, we had a lot of new initiatives that really started out this year. The biggest one that I'm sure you've heard about for those that are in our building currently or incoming was our Blue Gold Days. This was the first year that we adjusted our schedule from the traditional 8-period days to having 2-block schedule days incorporated. And the survey feedback that we received earlier in the year, midway through the year, and even as recently as 2 weeks ago when we surveyed the student, has been completely positive. They love that it's not every day, but they enjoy the fact that they have less classes. They know that there are times that they can really dive deep into labs, into the activities, which was the ultimate purpose. We wanted to be able to give students and teachers the opportunity to really delve into the curriculum without having that bell ring 40 minutes into it. So right when they're getting, actively engaged in a debate, that bell rings. This Blue and Gold Day was able to help keep that going. We also had our dual enrollment partnership start up this year, so we are still working with Bucks County Community College for our dual enrollment options. So for our students for next school year, the 23-24 year, we're just awaiting the final list of classes that has been approved. But our master schedule was completed, so they have that. We should know within, I'm hopeful, another 2 weeks, and we can get that information out. As many of you heard, they're trying to have dual partnerships, not just Bucks County Community Colleges, but all colleges in connections to high schools in the state of Pennsylvania. So we are very much looking forward to continuing our partnership with them, as well as other institutions. We've made connections to DeSales, to Rosemont College, Holy Family University, and then we are updating with TCNJ as well. So there's been quite a few that have been on campus for that. We also took feedback for our advisory. Advisory is the time of the day that many of you traditionally remember as being called homeroom. But the advisory was implemented a year ago. This year was our second cycle through. We continue to get feedback, and I will tell you the feedback has been very helpful. Students want their time to be able to do work, to prep for assignments, projects, whether they're meeting up with a classmate. And I will say that this year, there were days that advisory were taken away because of a club meeting, because of an adoration, because of a college panel. So the students provided the feedback. We reallocated the time for all those other activities, and we are using them in different ways next year. So the advisories will stay sacred to the students for the way that they want them to be used, and those other events will be modified into the day in a different capacity. Whether it's a special schedule or a club meeting being after school once in a blue moon instead of during the day, we want the students to have the time for the way they like it to be used. Our faculty and staff, they had their formal observations this year as well as their professional development. One of the areas that our Dean of Academic Affairs, Connie D'Angelo, works with the faculty on is what are the areas they want to focus on the most. This year, our focus was on effective engagement strategies for block scheduling, but in our case, the Blue Gold Days. Our profile of the graduate framework, for those not familiar with our profile of the graduate, it tells you what a Villa graduate looks like at the end of their time at Villa, and all the different aspects that any Villa graduate, regardless of what their interests are, should be able to leave Villa and go out into college in the real world with. What are those skill sets? What does that look like? So a lot of professional development on that. I'm sure many of you have heard about AI technology, up and coming, and all the different ways it's used. So we've had artificial intelligence professional development for our staff as well. But I also want to highlight the professional development that our staff covered on their own. So the ones that I just referenced are ones we did school-wide. But on our own, we had teachers that presented at the National Catholic Educators Association Conference in Texas. We had published articles in Momentum magazine by our staff members. We have 3 staff members that completed their masters for their various degrees before this school year had ended. We had keynote speakers at technology conferences, also in Texas this year. We had Pennsylvania School Safety Conference attendees. We had our Transcend coordinator as well as our Transcend teachers take part in ADHD specialty learning seminars. We had administrators navigating the EPIC Design Challenge. Basically, what does a post-COVID educational world look like and how are we implementing that? We had keynote speakers in campus ministry fields. We also had first aid CPR recertification for almost all of our staff and many of our coaches. We had our Philadelphia Classical League professional development days. We had our entire history department attend the National History Conference this year. And a lot of other seminars for our counseling department, which varied from everything from standardized testing to mental health to social media. So besides what's happening with the whole staff, individually our staff continues to grow to better support the students at Villa. We had 3 students that went on to All Catholic Orchestra and 4 students in All Catholic Band. We had 2 phenomenal performances this year in our Performing Arts Center. For those who are not aware, next year has already been announced for our fall musical, and it is The Wizard of Oz. And one of the nice things there is, not only is it our students, but we now are connecting to the feeder schools. St. Catherine Drexel students will be performing as our munchkins. So if you have anybody in those feeder schools, make sure you talk to Melissa Holdren about those opportunities. Our history department had the National History Day projects, and one of the goals of the history department in the last 2 years was there was one particular school that pretty much ran the show. And the history department made a goal 2 years ago and said, we want to be them. And I'm happy to say that our NHD projects took home 5 first place, 5 second place, 6 third places in 8 total categories, as well as honorable mentions, and we swept 4 of the 8 categories. So I'm thrilled that the history department can now have the bragging rights at this National History Day, and I know it's going to keep moving forward. In our science fairs, we also had, out of approximately 1,000 projects, we had Hannah Buckelman earn 2nd place in a category for the 12th grade physics. And we had Mary McAlpin and Ella Rupesberger earning honorable mention in the high school teams category. So for things like that to happen in such a small school like ours, going out with all of these other entities, it's amazing to see what they're doing on a daily basis in the classroom. Shifting over to counseling, our graduating class had over $22 million in scholarships. And the one caveat that I'd like to give with that is society has changed with how they report scholarships. So 22 million is amazing. Like, we can all say that. For 91 graduates, that's incredible. But that's the ones who actually handed us the paper that came in, or the email that came in, or the verbal confirmation of their scholarships. Colleges are not sending out the paper documentation anymore. So we do believe that we probably are closer to 25 million for them. They just didn't have the paperwork to show the counseling department. So phenomenal accolades there. On campus, we had over 100 college admissions professionals show up in the late fall and early winter to dialogue with the students about their particular campus and offerings they had. Over half of our going to be senior class is currently enrolled for our Opportunity Week. So if anybody in here is the parent of a going to be senior, please know that that is filling up. Opportunity Week is the camp where the seniors are able to get their college applications ready, set in place, that Common App done, check their essays, meet with an interviewee, and go through everything before September 1. And this way they can start senior year kind of having an ease. They're not panicking while trying to monitor the normal senior year, beginning of the year items. For the rest of the student body, our counseling staff will be hosting presentations on college information processes, financial aid processes in the end of August as well as throughout the fall. A big change for our going to be sophomores and juniors, PSAT administration traditionally has been on-site, paper and pen, it's the booklet that we all know it. College Board has decided to go digital for this upcoming year. For anybody who lived through COVID and College Board's AP digital rollout, it wasn't great. So we are very actively looking at ways to make sure this digital rollout is as seamless as possible from our end. I take no responsibility for College Board, but I will tell you that we already have everything in place. We have days pre-planned for all of the juniors and sophomores to have their technology approved, make sure everything is up to date, working the way it needs to work, so that the morning of their PSATs, they are as calm as they possibly could be. Please know that SAT and ACT testing does remain optional at many colleges, but not all. So as your daughters are navigating the high school process, and as they are starting to think about colleges, please keep in mind, check those websites. And our counselors do a phenomenal job of keeping you up to date, but if there are colleges that your daughters are already thinking about, be sure that you're looking at what their requirements are. And if they say they're test optional, wonderful. If they don't say it, please make sure that you're focusing on getting them into the SAT and ACT test times when it's the necessary timeline. From a technology end, we still have our Canvas and our Microsoft 365 accounts for all of our students. So any of our incoming families, I know we referenced this prior, but just remember, do not buy a laptop this summer, and when they try to sell you Microsoft 365, don't buy it. Your daughter will get it from us. We're able to provide it to you without cost. We also had new laptops brought in for our engineering students. So our engineering classes could be both working on the software at the same time. And from an athletic standpoint, we still continue to have 14 varsity sports over 3 seasons. For those students who are interested in playing a fall sport, August 14th is the start of the fall season. Please know that PIAA does require all of the traditional forms to be filled out. Those forms can be found on our website under the athletics tabs. You do need things like a physical. You do need to fill out any paperwork that maybe is from a prior year injury. So everything is listed for you. With the athletic department, many of you have heard the news that our very own Becky Flynn Hensel, she is stepping away from Villa as a teacher in AD. She's still going to be here as an alum, but she has taken an opportunity closer to her home. And as you know, she has young children, so she will be the AD at Gwinnett, boo. But we know where to find her. And at this point in time, Amy Barr, who's been our assistant athletic director, if you have questions in the meantime, you can direct them to her. But Bella DeVito is leading the process for the interviewees for AD. So we have a ginormous pool of candidates. So I can tell you that we're very excited that this process is going on. We look forward to whoever comes into that position, but we're getting close. So we'll be excited to announce that in the near future. And then the only other item is for our staff. We have had several retirements this year. In our foreign language department, Mrs. Portelli and Mrs. Tewksbury both have reached the retirement point in their life. They both have multiple grandchildren being born this summer. So they are looking forward to spending time as grandmoms. But I'm happy to report we have already filled their positions. So we are excited to bring in someone who has already been on our staff in the foreign language departments for Spanish, and a new French member to our department. So both of them are ready to go. For those who are aware that Mr. Bennett in our theology department, he is also leaving. He, for those who are not aware, has been in the diaconate program, and he has been studying for that. He was given the opportunity to be the director of religious education at his parish. And if you're familiar with the diaconate program, if you can be in your parish already in that role, it solidifies your placement there. So we obviously are sad about it, but we're excited for him to be able to remain within his parish. And then from an admissions standpoint, Bailey Gorman has been training for many years now in her nutrition degree. She successfully passed her comps just this spring, and she is currently in Florida about to start her practicum experience down there. So Bailey has stepped away from our admissions role. We wish her the best of luck. She's still emailing us every day. She's still working with us. So a few changes, but we look forward to the opportunities that these changes are bringing for our school. So I'm going to turn it over to Jean for the next set. Please know we will have time at the end for questions on anything. So if you feel like there was something I missed, happy to answer at the end. Thank you.
Did you get all that? So I'm just going to give you a few updates on, whoops, I'm just flying through, really getting you out of here fast. So yeah, Lauren talked a little bit about our counseling department. Certainly our college placement numbers we're very proud of this year. 3 Notre Dames. Yeah. We also have students going to University of Virginia. We've had acceptances and several students attending Washington University in St. Louis, Penn State University, Schreier Honors College, University of Michigan, Villanova, Carnegie Mellon, Fordham, Drexel, Northeastern, Wake Forest, Embry-Riddle Aeronautical, University of Miami, Clemson, et cetera, et cetera. So we're very proud of the students and the work that they've done. We're proud of the bragging rights we get for regional schools and where we're able to connect. Obviously, we will continue. Most of you know that's my background. So we will continue to do work on that to make sure we have partnerships, not only for dual enrollment, but also for our students to know who the admission counselors and directors of admission are, but also so our counseling department has those relationships so we can best align our students with opportunities. So we're excited about that. We also committed 9 athletes to college programs, including Chestnut Hill, East Stroudsburg, University of Louisville, Millersville, North Carolina Wilmington, University of Rhode Island, St. Francis, South Carolina Upstate, and Ursinus, which, by the way, not the same sport, but Ursinus has a Villa grad as their soccer coach. So we're very excited that we have those connections. And obviously we talked about Bailey Gorman heading out. Before she did, she left us a gift. We beat our goal. We have more students coming in than we intended for this class, which is an absolute gift. It is a beautiful class. We've already had our first year incoming prayer service, and we had 40 of the students, incoming students, attend our Spirit Day, which was positively beautiful, and they started a group chat. So they're already making plans for when they're officially gems come their graduation days. So we're very excited about their connection, their community, and the gift that our admissions team left us. So that's exciting. We do have 22 alumni legacy students in the building, so we're excited about that. Keep your daughters coming and your granddaughters coming. It's fantastic. We do have tuition set at $19,150 for next year, for those who haven't seen that yet. Obviously, we have some people still on that set tuition. We did update the tuition model for something that makes more sense for our families. So we are continuing with that model. That change was made last year, and it seems to make sense. We have a more intentional model that includes a more robust financial aid approach, and we're continuing to add to that through EITC, et cetera, et cetera. And to that end, we do have another balanced budget. Thank you to many of the people in this room. So that's very exciting. We also have the most EITC that we've had in forever. So Matt can talk about that as well. We also launched 2 scholarships this year. One was in the name of our dear Maria Middleton, and in partnership with our Hopathon chairs. We also launched a hands-on scholarship for the middle income, because what we found was not everyone qualifies for financial aid, but a lot of families just need that little hand up. And when we have talented, promising young women in our region, we want to make sure they have the opportunity to attend Villa. So we're making sure that we make intentional efforts to do that. And some of the major gifts that came in this year, some of you are in this room and want to remain nameless, but I thank you from the bottom of my heart, whether it's EITC or some of your significant gifts, because it all matters, and we're stronger because of it. We do have FACTS going, so most of you know that. If you have students here, that's our tuition management system, and that is working well. Everyone's slated to be on that by June, which is great. Talked about the balanced budget. We also had our first, that we know of, bequests come through. So thank you to our alums and the daughters of our alums who have thought of us, because that matters too. You are definitely improving the legacy, improving our ability to meet Mother Maria's legacy. We also had more generous gifts from the sisters. They're amazing, savvy, beautiful businesswomen who make a big difference for us in so many ways. Facilities-wise, we have, for the first time, a robust long-term facilities plan for the campus. And we're very excited about that. It includes intentional updates to our STEM labs and our hallways. I know there's been a lot of talk about that. So we took a step back and said, what do we truly need? So we're making smart decisions on that and partnering with the right people to make sure that we address the labs that need to be addressed, and don't just make a beautiful update, but make sure that we make a beautiful update that is impactful to the departments. So we are doing that. We're also adding signage. Thank you to our Parents Guild. Anyone who's not already a member, please join, because they make such a difference for us, and they have a lot of fun doing it. But thanks to our Parents Guild, we were able to put up signs, both directional signs outside, so our first years incoming and our refs don't get lost, our visiting teams don't get lost. So we'll also have internal signs for those whose names are already on the signs we've started to put up. Thank you for the difference you make. If your name's not yet on a sign, Matt Grunwell, I'm sure, has been in touch with you to make sure we're spelling your name right. And if you're not on a sign and haven't been connected with Matt Grunwell, then make sure you do, and whatever future investment you want to make, we'll make sure that your name is spelled right on that. So thank you very much for that. We're also going to be updating, as far as next steps, we have the chapel needs some upgrades, just a refresh. We had some damage that we fixed last summer, water damage, so we did some updates there. Same with Maria Hall to make sure we continue to preserve that beautiful gift on this campus. As far as our alumni, our president is here, our new vice president, Amy, is here. We love the difference that our alumni make, and we welcomed 93 sisters in on Saturday to the Alumni Association. Only 91 of them told us what money they're getting from college, but 93 of them are going to be alums, so we're very excited. We are also going to make sure that they know, certainly Steph, our president of the Alumni Association, Amy Pasqua, who's here, is a 2000 grad, will be moving into the role of vice president. We'll be welcoming Madison Conway from 13, who's going to take on the role of treasurer. And Madison just moved back to the area, and she did exactly what every Villa gal should do. She got back in touch and back involved, so we're very excited. Brianna Hocker from 17 is going to join the communications committee. I should talk to her. What else? And then we, of course, want to thank the folks who are stepping back at the moment. Vice President Caitlin Files, 06, and Treasurer Daniel Pernetti, 12, because they have given of their time, their effort, their talent, their treasure, and we are so grateful to them. So that's exciting, and we will certainly be continuing to celebrate our alums who come into our classes, the ones who have spoken certainly mostly to the leadership classes and to the WITH class, which is Women in Theology, because the students love meeting them, and they love engaging and seeing what's possible for people who sat in these seats. Not these seats. Our seats weren't this fancy, but those seats. So it's very nice to have them connected. We're grateful. And then for the class of 1960, ladies, that Mother Maria Caucus Scholarship that you launched is going strong. We named our four selected students this year at our awards ceremony, and that's something that continues to make a difference on our campus for students who are certainly living the legacy of Mother Maria. So we're making a big difference, it's impactful, and we could not do it without your help. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart, because it has been the greatest honor to join our dear Villa this year, and I know what a difference each one of you makes in supporting what we do. So with that, I will hand it over to Mr. Advancement himself, Matt Grunwell, to give you an update on where we are and some of the exciting things that are coming for the upcoming year.
How we doing, everybody? As Jean said before, I'm a 3-time Villa parent. One graduated in 22. I have one that'll be 24, graduate in 24, and one that'll graduate in 26. So not new to Villa, but new to the role. Started here March 1st. I know just enough to be dangerous. Look out. The things I'm going to talk about briefly, and Jean touched on some of them, so I won't reiterate all of it. But in terms of advancement, our team that I'm a part of sits over in Maria Hall, and we do marketing and alumni relations and fundraising. And I'm going to focus on fundraising here for now. So that would be advancement, EITC, grants, events, and things like that. So the first one I'll start off with is the Always Villa Fund, or what used to be called our annual fund. Now that's one that we fundraise for that helps us keep a strong curriculum. It does provide some financial aid in addition to EITC. It helps us with our campus and facilities, as well as all the professional development that Lauren was talking about earlier. We're getting close to our fiscal year end, which is June 30th, and we have a goal right now in the month of June to raise another $33,000, because if we're able to do that, that'll be the most money we've raised in the annual fund over the last 4 years. I'd like 50, to be honest, but 33 would get us to a new milestone to build on top of.
100.
Lauren would like 100. Does anybody, is this an auction? Hold on, I saw your hand go up, Paul. So that, that would help us, and we already have $3,800 in June. So we're 10% of the way to the, more than 10%, sorry, math teacher down here. We're more than 10% of the way to the 33,000, so the 50 seems like it's attainable. So if you have interest in helping us get there, come see me. In terms of EITC, come on, I'm the third speaker. We're going to engage now. Show of hands, who knows what EITC is? Ooh, lots of hands. I'm not going to ask who participates, because I know who does and who doesn't. For those who don't know, EITC is called the Educational Improvement Tax Credit, and ultimately it gives you the opportunity to give your Pennsylvania taxes to Villa instead of Harrisburg. It's a very simple process. I mean, it has a couple steps to it, but we use a third party that walks you through the process. Ultimately, if you sign on for 2 years, whatever gift you give, you get a 90% tax credit back each year from Pennsylvania, and then you turn around and claim the other 1,000 on your federal. So let's do the easy button. For about $650 gift to Villa, when all said and done after you get your return, you can give Villa $10,000. I mean, it's a no-brainer. So think about it, and if you are considering it, come find me. There are people in this room that I know do it. There are also people in this room who have taught others how to do it, and we can connect you with people like that as well. I'm still learning about it. Again, 3 months, dangerous. In terms of events, we had our usual slate of events this year, our auction, and our auction leader is back there. Elise, come on, wave. Elise made us $80,000 again this year on the auction. Paul Braun, wave, Paul, in the same row. That's ironic. Paul, and where's Dan? I saw Dan, it's his golf shirt. Dan DiDomenico. So those were our 2 golf outing co-chairs this year, and they raised the most money we ever raised in the golf outing. It was just under $33,000. We had handbag bingo, which went well. We had our Monte Carlo night. We had Quizzo. We're going to do all those events again next year, and we're going to add a couple things. We're going to add the Grandparents' Mass in September, because that's when Grandparents' Day is, and it'd be nice to get the grandparents in here and attend a Mass with their students. And going back a step, the hands-on scholarship that Jean referenced was also the result of a new event we had. Some of you were here, I see the faces, some of you attended the event, and there's a poster out on the wall. We had Mary Lou Quinlan, who is the author of The God Box, who also turned that book into a one-person off-Broadway show, and she's traveled the world doing that show, and she came here and did that show for us absolutely free. All ticket sales, book sales, and donations and sponsorships came to Villa. So when Jean talks about that middle income fund, where we're trying to help people who might need a hand who don't qualify for financial aid, we jump-started that and we earned $25,000 in that one night. And there's a certain person who might be the chair of our board sitting in the back row right there, who was the craziest fundraiser I've ever seen for that event. She's got a network like you wouldn't believe. Thank you, Mary. In terms of grants, one grant that we got was the EAMS grant. EAMS stands for Emergency Assistance to Non-Public Schools. It is a grant that was awarded to schools who stayed open during COVID. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of this. And ultimately what it did for us is we got more than $100,000 toward equipment. And some of that equipment would be laptops, tablets, and accessories. Also, the necessary furnishings for 3 outdoor classrooms and multiple STEAM-related classrooms. In fact, some of that furniture is already in Mr. Sheenan's chemistry lab. So we're trying to make good use of that. We have some equipment that we haven't put out yet because we still have some other work to do before we can use it. We also, more recently, received our first grant from one of the big Catholic foundations in Philadelphia. So some of you may have heard of the Ambassadors Fund for Catholic Education. We received a grant for a pilot program that is going to be called, it's a case competition, so it's a business case competition, and I'm not going to steal Jean's thunder because she's going to go into detail, and it's really exciting about some of the people that are going to end up through these halls and some of the opportunities our kids are going to get in terms of engaging with the business community. So I won't steal it, I'll just tease it there. And then, Jean, I don't know if you mentioned, and if you did, I'm sorry I fell asleep right there. Sorry, it's the allergist. We are going to embark on a revamp of our website, which some of you may realize it needs that, with a primary focus initially on how the outside world engages with us when it comes to admissions. That's a very important part of achieving a full class and reaching our target for people getting in. It'll improve the communication, it'll improve the ability to not have to answer every phone call and email, because it's going to be very easy for somebody who's a prospective student to engage with us and understand, as a prospective family, what they need to do and what steps they need to take and when. And so that's exciting. We're going to have a couple full-day sessions starting next week on that, and hopefully that'll help drive our strategy in terms of what we change. And that should be, the lion's share of that should be revamped before the summer's over, so you'll start to see that. I'm going to hand it back to Jean now.
Yeah, I won't bore you too much with the case competition, but I'll cover that before Lauren talks about PACE. The Ambassador Fund for Catholic Education has been supporting Catholic education in the Philadelphia region for a while. And as some of you may know, my background is not only it's in higher ed, certainly in admission and financial aid, but it is also as a business professor at University of Cincinnati. And I worked with a lot of business schools throughout the country when I launched a nonprofit to help business schools teach the skills that students needed when they went into the field. And one of the things that is woefully obvious is that we don't do enough business education for women. Men's schools do a significant amount of business education, and what's happening is our women are not succeeding as well when they go into business schools if they're choosing to enter business school at all. So we decided to be part of the solution. And our sisters are some of the most business-savvy, amazing women you will ever meet in your life. So with that gift at Villa, and our women who are raising their hand, we have a Future Business Leaders Club run by Sarah Taylor right now. She's our current president, well, she just graduated. But we have an economics class that has a lot of attention. The girls did an incredible job at the St. Joe's Economic Challenge. So we know there's a hunger. But our sisters, I said, we should have a case written up while they're here to tell us the story about how intentional they've been about their planning. They are actually flown around the world, fun fact, to talk to other religious orders about what good looks like when it comes to planning for your religious order. So they're set for life, and they are being brought into other places to teach them how to do just that. So that's an opportunity for our women to understand, because they did it from a mission base, they did it from a place of faith, and they made really hard choices. So why have one case when you can have 10? So we talked to the Ambassador Fund, and they are actually going to support us as we build a case study library and a competition for regional high schools. And we're going to engage universities and C-suite people who can talk to our students about how faith informs hard decisions in the boardroom. And it's going to be an incredible opportunity for our girls to really, when we talk about discerning who you are and who God calls you to be, we have a tendency in education in general to teach students that you either don't worry about the money, just go give back, just go serve, money doesn't matter. Not entirely true. Or we say, just go to the boardroom and take no prisoners. Also not true, and very much not helpful for their mental health. So we're looking at how mission and money marry to make magic. And we're really excited about the people who are already signing on, and it's going to fund an actual head count to help us get it off the ground. So stay tuned for that, but it will be the first of many. Our students who did the tour for the Ambassador Fund did a beautiful job, so as we build that relationship, we're excited for expanding that. Malvern Prep will be our partner on it, and several of the schools have already agreed to participate, so we're excited that Holy Ghost, Gwinnett, Mount, etc. will all be participants. So, and more to come. So, very exciting. But to make sure we can do that and many more things, we're going to stay accredited. So I'll let Lauren tell you about that.
So for those who are not familiar with PACE, PACE is the Pennsylvania Association of Independent Schools. Many of our feeder schools and our neighboring schools, you might be familiar with Middle States accreditation. We are Middle States accredited at this point in time, but Middle States has really evolved over the last 10 years, and their focus, for lack of a better phrase, is very cookie cutter. Villa is not cookie cutter, and that's where PACE accreditation really will work for us as it has done for many other private schools in the state of Pennsylvania. We are going to be embarking on our self-study that begins this summer. The accreditation process will take our staff, our students, our families, our board of directors through a reevaluation of what we stand for, what our curriculum does, what our mission does, what our vision is. And what they'll do is they'll do a visit, not in the 23-24 year, but in the 24-25 fall, so the beginning of that school year. So all of the work, the legwork, has to be done next school year. For those families who were with us this year, we had that week after Christmas break, after New Year's, that the staff came in and did their professional development time, their grading time, and a lot of families told us they loved it because they took vacations during a very quiet time of the year for vacation. We are doing the exact same thing this year because we're using that time for a lot of our self-study development. So please know that we are going to be calling upon not only our current families, but our alum families, our Parents Guild, alumni. We have to get feedback and data from everybody. So just know that that will be periodically coming out through the 23-24 school year. The wonderful thing about PACE accreditation is after the survey is done, the focus and the goals that they give the school are based on our findings, what we need to do better or what we need to build upon, as opposed to a template, which unfortunately is where we found Middle States to be the last time around. So we're very much looking forward to the accreditation process. As far as this summer goes, please know that we're in the office. We have our summer hours going into effect starting Monday, meaning that the building is open Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays from 8 o'clock till about 2 o'clock every day. So if you're just coming up to drop something off, somebody will be in the office. If you're coming on a Monday or a Friday, it's best if you pre-plan with whoever you want to meet with, because there are a variety of activities going on outside of the building on those days, whether it's meeting up for asks, whether it's visiting some of these schools that we're doing the partnerships with. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays are your best bet for any type of in-building meeting. The teachers have access to their emails. They do not need to access their emails in the summer though. So if you reach out to a staff member and it goes about a week and you don't get a response, send me an email. Because it's very easy for me to pick up the phone and say, hey, this family just has a question about summer reading, about this. When you get a chance, can you look at it? But the teachers, this is their chance to decompress just like the students. So if you do have an urgent need, contact me, contact Jean, contact counseling. We're all in the building. Before I go to questions, I would be remiss if I didn't say this publicly, and I need to at the end of this year, for the families that have been with us for the past few years, and for our new families. I just want to tell you how thankful we are for everything that you continue to do to support Villa, whether that be, volunteering to come in and work in the school store, whether it be a financial contribution, whether it be sending us an email saying, hey, you guys did this, and I like this aspect, but I think this could change. All of that feedback really helps make Villa grow and be better. So thank you from all of us. And I'm also very thankful to have an alum female in this position next to me. So I want to publicly acknowledge that Jean's contributions this year have been tremendous from the staff center. So thank you for that. And I already have a contract, so I don't need to suck up. But we'd like to open it up at this time if there are questions, and please be aware that in the room you have the three of us, you have members from our Parents Guild, you have members from our Board of Directors, and you have alumni. So you really have the gamut of people that could answer if there is anything that you have questions on. Best kind of audience.
They just want the cookies.
They do want the cookies. They want the cookies out there. Yeah, we'll all be floating around, so please, feel free to help yourselves, because otherwise, Jean, Matt, and I are the ones that are going to have to eat those cookies tomorrow, which is not a bad thing. But enjoy the rest of the evening. We do have this recorded, so if you have been speaking to anybody that couldn't make it tonight, Erica Franzo will get this up to our website in the next few days, so it is visible for everybody to see the updates. And again, we're here throughout the summer if there is anything that you need. All right, thank you, everybody.